guys, we are live here on site. We took the podcast on the road here to Williams. So here we are in the beautiful little city of Williams with Devin McNally and Tyler Cutlip.
Yep. Well, welcome.
Yes, thanks for coming out.
Exactly. And there's so much to get into. So I've been working with you guys a while, and this is just so awesome to see. We were just talking about there's not a lot of, not to make an ageist comment, but there's not a lot of young energy, and you guys just have so much young energy. Just got married 6 months ago, right? And you are agents that live and work in Williams.
Correct.
Right? Which is unique. And I think that's important to note because a lot of people like to come here for the Polar Express or they like, to golf at Elephant Rock, but they don't necessarily have their backs in this town, right? Which you guys do. So it's super, super cool. And how long have you lived in Williams?
I actually grew up in Williams, and so did my parents and their parents, actually.
Okay, I didn't know that. Because I know you're from Prescott, right?
Yep, Chino Valley, actually.
So okay.
Born and raised.
So how'd you meet the Williams girl?
Real estate, actually.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about that.
So I was on a team at a certain point, and Devin joined, and then it really was fate from there. But it was great. I think we had to work through it at the beginning to really find what we needed at first in real estate, but then eventually we ventured off together, and it's just been awesome since.
Was it pretty mutual on the team, or were you was he trying to work his way to talk more about real estate with you?
I think we were both just trying to figure out who we were at that point too, just so young coming into all of it, and just so much to learn about the industry in general and ourselves. It was fun because he had been in real estate a little bit longer than I had. I started after, and so he was a little bit more of my mentor a little bit, I guess. And I don't know, it just kind of naturally flowed after that. We realized we had a lot of the same friends, and actually we're surprised we hadn't met before with Chino Valley and Williams being so close. Our sports teams, high school, we always had friends, who knew each other, and we just happened to never meet.
Yeah.
And I think it was funny, first time I added Devin on Facebook, I think we had 45 mutual friends or something like that.
Oh, really?
And so there was just a lot of people that it was cool to know that it was just interesting that we never met, but it was just meant to be.
Meant to be. I love it. And you were and your family raises cattle, and so are you a bit of a cowgirl?
More so growing up. Okay. I don't know. I've got a couple siblings and cousins that they're a little bit more into it than I am. My brother for sure. Okay. But definitely real estate was a lot more appealing to me than being out there every day, no matter the weather, fixing fence and pushing cattle.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Not that it's not fun still. I do like to go out and stuff, but I'm not as much of a hand as I used to be.
I was talking with Torrens, a new loan officer over at our place, and he grew up with family in the trades and everything. And he was like, I didn't like Northern Arizona when I worked outside in Northern Arizona.
For sure.
I can understand that. It's a little nice when you can be selective with your out of doors exposure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you got to have layers, especially springtime, the wind. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Especially this last winter.
Yeah.
Nuts.
And from the real estate standpoint, and obviously you had home here, and what makes you guys excited to have an office here in Williams?
I think what makes us excited about having an office here in Williams is just being able to bring people in, make it feel a little more professional. It's not, having someone coming over to my house or meeting at their house. Sure. There's a good mutual meeting place. And oftentimes in real estate, you're always working late nights, early mornings, and stuff like that. So sometimes it kind of makes it nice to be able to have that balance between having an office and having a house, especially when they're close to each other. It makes it even better.
Yeah. And then specifically then here in Williams, what are you guys' thoughts on the market here?
It's definitely been picking up. In wintertime, of course, just Flagstaff and most of northern Arizona kind of slows down, especially with all the snow we had this last winter. Yeah. It's kind of tough for some folks to want to, drive up from the valley or wherever they're coming from to want to, trudge through 2 feet of snow, just hoping the listing agent, shoveled the pathway up to the door.
Oh, gosh,
But it's nice to see where our office is right off of old Route 66, and so we get lots of traffic coming through here. We've got lots of local restaurants and, stuff like that. So a lot of people are kind of popping around more and getting more people through.
That's awesome. And we were just talking about it, that it's one of those areas, like, I think people need to be big picture minded right now. Right. And the blinders, that the more people say, hey, I have to have this, that the likelihood of them being happy can be difficult. Yeah. Right. And so when you can say, hey, and when we just drove out here, it reminded me of how close Williams is. It was like 30 minutes on the drive. Right. Yep. And we were just talking too about, that if you live in Phoenix, you're going to drive 30 minutes plus to work. You're going to go meet a friend for lunch, and it's going to be 30 minutes. You're going to drive 30 minutes everywhere you go. Yeah. And I know we're super, super spoiled in Flagstaff, where everyone kind of freaks out. And not that, I try, if you guys didn't know this about me, like, one of my strengths is I am like super logical. And one of my weaknesses is I lack empathy. So, talk to my wife about it. It just makes sense. But that's where it's like, I get that there's emotions tied to people, like, oh, I love my 10-minute commute. I love, picking up the kids, it's 5 minutes away and everything's within 10 to 15 minutes in Flagstaff. And it's the beautiful thing of the little Flagstaff town. But with where, it's an attractive little town that's within Flagstaff city limits, is quite a bit more expensive, to where you can say, all right, 30 minutes in the big picture scheme for most towns is nothing. And Williams, I think we're going to see Williams continue. It's already on the map. Like, It's not like it's like the discount bargain bin, but it's cheaper. But how much is it quantifiable? Like, how much cheaper is Williams than Flagstaff?
It's kind of hard to say. I would say, of course, nothing's really apples to apples. A lot of time out here you can find, a home, but it's on an acre or 5 acres, versus a lot of places in Flag, if it's on an acre or 5 acres, it's almost unaffordable for a lot of folks.
Sure. Well, absolutely.
Yeah. So here it's, attainable for a lot more people. And we definitely don't have all the amenities that Flag has, but 30 minutes away, it's right there.
Yeah.
But I think that, little bit of the drive kind of helps people make it worth it, I guess.
Sure. Well, and I think so, and this is going to come from, like, when I was telling Cole here as we were rolling in, I was like, I have not spent a lot of time in Williams. So I haven't. So this is going to be fun, coming from like the total ignorant, tourist almost perspective when I ask you these questions. So there's no like loaded answers here that I'm looking for. But so lifestyle is obviously a big piece, right? Like you said, if you are looking for acreage on the west side of Flagstaff, you're in the 7 figures. If you're on the, you might find some options just under out in like Doney.
Definitely.
But then, if you're saying, hey, from door to downtown, you are very similar to Williams.
Absolutely. Yeah.
At different parts of Doney.
Yeah, definitely.
So...
And I think that's a lot of people already have been, commuting from Williams to Flagstaff. I think that's been a big trend for a little while now, and I think it's just going to keep continuing to grow. I think 30 minutes on a commute time is really not much, like you're saying, because there's no traffic. We're not dealing with traffic up here. There's minor stuff on the freeways, and that's it's not like sitting on the I-17 down on Bell Road for a little while,
See, Devin's already got the audio. She's just making sure you come in loud and clear. But as you get that mic a little closer for Tyler there.
Got your back.
Yep. So, but then so let's talk then kind of, I know inventory is super, super rough right now. So it's hard to say, like, the homes will come on market. They just might not exist right now, as far as they're not listed right now. Mm-hmm. But like for a site built 3-2, and again, I know this is like, well, is it beaten up? Is it, is it downtown, around town? Like, what's kind of a ballpark range for kind of your starter home 3-2? Let's talk site built, and then we can maybe talk manufactured. Mm-hmm. Generically speaking, what's kind of a rough range there?
So there's a lot of a lot like downtown Flagstaff within the city limits. There's a lot of older homes built in, 20s, 30s. And so that gets kind of interesting because a lot of the homes are like 1,200 square foot or 900 square foot, so they're a lot smaller. But you're on city utilities, which is huge around here because if you're out of town, you're on a septic tank or hauled water, which a lot of folks aren't familiar with, and that's kind of a curve we have to help people understand. not a huge deal. You could either do it yourself or you could have it, hauled for you. There's, a bunch of companies that'll do it. But it's definitely kind of like you said earlier, a lifestyle change for a lot of people to try and understand. But if you're in a in town and, city lot kind of older home, you might find something in the 300s, but you will probably need to do a lot of updating on, piping, the roof, the electrical, things like that. Okay. But there has been a lot of people coming through and restoring a lot of the older homes. And so that's been really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is another rant we could get going on too, is just what we've, when we talk about people setting those boxes of I must have this, and this. Mm-hmm. And it's really to the extent where no, social media has sold you a false bag of goods, right? Cause it's awesome if you want this brand new farmhouse style with a 2,000 square foot main living room, right?
Yeah.
And it's just again, how many people have that reality, right? Yeah. And if you want that reality, what's the cost out square footage, right? And these expensive, the land itself is just so expensive and valued here in Northern Arizona that it's no, I was visiting my paternal grandfather, a month ago, and I should show you the picture of this house. We're in his living room, and it's it's probably his living room, and he's in his site-built home in just north of Salt Lake City, Utah. Yeah. And it's probably the dimensions of a single wide. It's sure. Relatively small. Yeah. And they had 7 kids. Oh my gosh. Right? Oh, yeah. And they had a couple of rooms out branched from that, and a little basement that's probably about the same size, and a kitchen that you can't walk around people and the table. You got to go in the right order. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. And so I'm so we have gotten a lot. Yeah. So it's tempering expectations on things. Not that everyone needs to say, hey, we're going to squeeze into the tiny home mentality, but there's a middle ground that exists.
I would say so. Yeah, for sure.
And there's a lot of new inventory building, or what's the scope on that? Do you guys have a radar on that?
Yes and no. There's a lot of new builds that are happening over near the golf course. Okay. There seems to be a couple builders that have always got a project going. So there has been a lot of stuff coming available over there. There's been a lot of manufactured homes here lately. And I think that's what has really been able to help a lot of people afford stuff in Williams too, is just coming in on an entry-level manufactured home. Nice and new, not necessarily having to do any work to it like Devin was talking about with some of these older homes, but it makes it a lot more reasonable for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Especially because rentals can be super tough to find for a lot of people right now too, because the Airbnb market short-term rental market is so big around here with, Route 66, the Grand Canyon, Arizona, and a lot of, attractions for families. It's kind of pushing a lot of folks out on the rentals. And so it's very nice to be able to, help all of our, friends our age or, people just trying to find their first home, find it and, make it affordable and not have to, afford it, move in, and then, save up all the money again to do the renovations, that need to be done to make it, what they want or what works for them.
And how many people do you show manufactured homes to that at first when they heard the phrase, they had a stigma that they reacted to. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as they walked in that home, they were all of a sudden not worried about it. Absolutely.
Especially, newer manufactured homes. We found that exact thing where it's their parents or uncle or, whatever, grew up in, a little single-eyed, kind of like we're talking about. And that's the total mentality of, what they think manufactured homes are now. And luckily they're a lot better built. And especially if they're on, nice foundation, stem wall, and, stuff like that. They're a lot easier to finance and, nice homes for a lot of people for a long time.
Sure. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And maybe a quick rundown is the bank will not let you buy Uncle Bob's single wide that's been moved around from trailer park to trailer park, right? We do have rules. And so, so 1976 or newer is for manufactured homes. And then, there are single wide options, double wide, but they do have to be on permanent foundations typically. And most loan programs require that they've never been moved. So all things that you guys know about, but just good for the listener to know, all right, there are some things that kind of protect you to know this is a solid home. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I think a lot of it comes down to Williams' lifestyle as well, to say, okay, that same manufactured home, maybe it's not a heck of a lot cheaper. Oh, in some cases could be, but maybe it's not you know, compared to like Railroad Springs in town in Flagstaff. But you're gonna not be right on top of your neighbors. Maybe you have like some outbuildings and different things. That's more of the kind of the Williams feel, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Probably got a big shop out back to do your tinkering in, and you know, your house for your the pump for your cistern tank to get your water and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different lifestyle.
Exactly. Well, and but as far as then, and again, from the ignorance perspective, me not having spent a ton of time out here, and I always have clients that will buy out here and they're like, oh man, this barbecue place or that place, or like the summertime is like awesome. These different things going on. And they even like the city does. It's a city.
Yep.
And they do events and things.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so just run, and the golf course. So run down the highlights of amenities for people like that, just the same stigma of like, it's not in city limits in Flagstaff.
There's nothing going on over there.
What's there's not the exact same amenities of Flagstaff, right? Mm-hmm. But let's go through. So you tell me the highlights, and then I'm going to ask a bunch of fire off questions like, do they have this? Do they have that?
Williams highlights. I don't know. Arizona came in, I think 2012 or something like that. Yeah. And it's just grown into this like crazy, beautiful park. Sean Casey has done amazing things, and he's planning to do a hotel here in the next few years. They have a nice restaurant in there as well. And then a few new restaurants have opened up on Route 66, and all of the best out of Flagstaff downtown. Yeah. They just opened up a shop right down here too. And so there's different things that are kind of happening, different commercial businesses that have been coming in. So that's kind of fun to see. Sure. But it's definitely a seasonal town. Okay. So you got the Polar Express in the wintertime. Okay. That runs on the Grand Canyon Railway. Yep. And that runs from like November, December, and then a little bit past Christmas. Sure. And then January, February, it's like this last year, it's just kind of cold and snow. And, you know, you'll get buyers and sellers that, you know, need to sell their home or, you know, are willing to, you know, put in their 4-wheel drive and, you know, go up the hill of the driveway. But a lot of times it does kind of slow down in the wintertime, which is nice too. You get a little break from the tourism, you know, living here, not as busy. You can drive down Route 66 and it's not going to take 10 minutes. And they, well, and even we had friends that are in public school system in Tucson, and they bust the entire, like, what was it, like 5th graders or 4th graders to Arizona last weekend. Oh my gosh. So like they're on the map. Arizona's like definitely on the map. And so we'll have people and friends that like don't even come and visit us, and they want to come visit Arizona, right? And so, so you have that, and the Elephant Rock Golf Course is a public course, right? Yep. I don't golf, but I hear that that's like the best public course. Yep. It's where I learned to golf. It's an awesome course, actually. Yeah. Very cool. It's easy. Everyone's pretty easygoing. No one's, you know, pushing you through to, you know, make their tee time and all that. Yeah. It's a nice, easygoing course you can kind of just hang out at. And you can go. So you can, and again, let's give context here, people. We're not faulting anyone. If you have $2 to $4 million to drop in Pine Canyon, with the dues and everything else, that's not even part of that. Yeah. Like, and capital contribution fees, like, good on you. You've done well in life. Go get it. Absolutely. But enjoy if you still want to enjoy the mountain town golf course lifestyle, like, what could you get a house on the golf course for in Elephant Rock? There's a strip of like townhomes, smaller patio homes. Yeah. They're even getting up towards, I think one was listed this last week for $550,000. Okay. And so they're kind of going up a ways. But there's like homes that are, you know, 2,000, 2,500 square foot, you know, kind of around the golf course. Yeah. Those are kind of more 700, 800. Yeah. Some of them are even push over 7 figures, but I have to laugh how you can see Devin. I'm going to call you out here a little bit on it, because everyone has that starting point. Yeah. And so your starting point is like, these are kind of expensive. Whereas my starting point was like, these are on sale, everyone. Oh, absolutely. Like, these are so on sale. Like, you can get a townhome on a golf course for $500,000. Yeah. Whereas like there are 7 figures in town in Flagstaff. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And so it's all relative, right? It's all relative. Absolutely. And so, and plus we have friends that we do have some good friends of ours that live in the back of Pine Canyon, and it takes you 15 minutes just to get from the gate to their house. That neighborhood, that neighborhood is just so winding anyways. So I'm like, depending where you are, you have the same distance to Safeway. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about, how much, and this is like
totally statistics made up on the spot. What percentage of restaurants do you think close down during the wintertime with the seasonality? Is it pretty significant?
A lot of them try to stay open, but like our local Dairy Queen, they like, for as long as I can remember, always close in October and they open up in April. Like they just opened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I kind of understand on some base levels, but at the same time, like, where we were driving through town in the Dairy Queen in Flagstaff, it was like a snowy, like blizzardy night, and the Dairy Queen line was like backed up. I'm like, what are you people doing? I guess Dutch Bros was maybe even longer. Yeah, who knows? But okay, so then grocery.
We have a Safeway. Safeway. We have a Dollar Tree and a Family Dollar. Okay. But I think we're all kind of waiting for the day that we do get a Walmart or something a little bit. Just for a second option would be nice. But, really, I think we're all so used to, running to Flag like we do. And just about anyone who lives here, you rack up your list a little bit. Okay, I got to run to the office in Flag, Safeway. I got this drop off at, UPS. Yeah. And then, you make a morning of it, afternoon, and, drive back home. And just like you're saying, though, in different parts of Flag, you really do the same thing. Yeah,
exactly. You just have some highway. Mm-hmm. And I know, and I will say the biggest argument I like when I hear people talk against it, like the Williams perspective or that commute perspective is the 40 can be a little gnarly in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of planned accordingly, right? If you live up in Cheshire or Baderville during the ski season, like good luck getting into town with ski traffic. So it's just like, hey, you just kind of have to plan your life around things.
Definitely.
Right? Like definitely make sure you look at do you look at the forecast like a little bit more probably intently than most?
A little bit, but I don't know, what's so nice about our jobs too is most of the time if we need to get somewhere, the, buyer or seller that we're meeting, they also have to drive too. So they're like, well, maybe we'll do it the next day. Or, it's just, it kind of works that way to where it's like, we kind of have the freedom to work around the weather too.
Sure.
And a lot of times the 40 is cleaner than, in town, Williams, Flagstaff, or, the city cleanup a lot of times.
We live just outside of city limits. And our friends down the street live just inside city limits. Okay. And our street gets hit. The county's good. County's good on a lot of things. Like our street will get hit 2 or 3 times before they've even gotten touched sometimes. And I just know, I know it's like, the snow this last year. It was the funniest thing. We were in, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if I saw you there. They had the mayor, the new mayor talk at the Realtor Association, luncheon. Yeah. And the first thing that got brought up was what are we going to do about all this snow? And I was like, don't give her that. Give her a fighting chance. This is a 40-year winter. Right. So don't, this is a double negative. Don't not move to Williams because of a 40-year winter. Absolutely. Right.
You just avoid all of northern Arizona if that's your, goal. You don't want snow at all.
So you guys saw all those memes and stuff on social media where it's okay, just don't come. Northern Arizona is shut down all the lanes. Just don't come. Yeah. Don't come. So no. And so let's, as far as then though, From that perspective of people entertaining Williams, what are the things that you find you miss the most? For those people that are more in that city folk mind, what things do you go into town for the most? Do you guys have a movie theater?
Oh, no.
We don't have a movie theater.
People really don't do those anymore. I haven't been to a movie theater in
I was just
thinking. I was talking about to Harkins.
Yeah.
What movie was it?
So, some people do that. So no movie theater.
That's a good question, though. It's hard to say because we lived out in Belmont for a while.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think, 3 years we lived out in Belmont, and I felt like that got our feet wet to coming out to Williams because it was just the lifestyle of being in between both of them. And it felt like every day Devin and I were either going one way or another. And so we just decided one day, hey, let's just keep going to Williams and let's stay there. But to circle back to what I don't know if I missed.
I can't think of anything I missed. Actually, I feel like I should have an answer.
Like the athletic club, the pool at the athletic club, and maybe the steam room.
At FAC, probably.
There you go. Yep. You have plenty of land to put one in.
Yeah. Exactly. Right, there we go. True.
Yeah. Back.
We've got a gym here.
Gym.
We do have gym. Yeah, it's actually a pretty nice gym. I was there a couple hours ago.
Sweet. Yeah. So you do even have a gym. I love it.
Yeah, and then actually just this last summer, they built the Canyon Coaster Park. Have you seen that?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, so when you're heading out of town on your way back to the office, you'll see it on the right side there. It was about a 20-acre project, I want to say. The coaster goes all the way up to the top of the hill, and it snakes you down, and it's really cool.
The views from the top are really cool. You see the whole town, and especially if it's like later in the evening, all the neon lights are lit up on 66.
Very
it's really
cool.
cool. Yeah, it is cute.
Okay, we're gonna have to check that place out with kids.
And it was a
definitely.
cool addition that the town had to add for everybody, and especially everybody coming to town. It gives them one more thing to do.
Yeah.
You can hit Arizona, go to the canyon coasters. You can go downtown and eat. There's some stuff to do here.
Exactly. And now there is a ski lift,
Yes.
and the same group do they run that or no? Not right now.
Not yet.
Because it's the same group that owns Snowball owns that one, right?
Yep.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not 100% on what their plans are, and I can't even remember the year it closed. But I learned to ski up there, and it's a pretty small mountain.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be awesome if they opened it up, because that would, just like we're saying, January, February is kind of slower months.
Sure.
That's, the perfect way to bring more business into town, more people at, restaurants and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. And there's plenty of room with how expensive Snowball is to bring in and how busy that little mountain gets.
Yeah.
For a little sister hill there. And one other thing I heard, and we shouldn't spread a rumor here. So I'm a big snowboarder, like grew up in Utah, super all about it. But we really got into like the downhill mountain biking where you do lift serve. Mm-hmm. So you go up on the lifts, and then primarily that was like not only is like the gravity aspect like just super awesome, like it's awesome.
Intense.
But the taking my kids up because we wanted them to get into biking and they enjoy biking, but they don't like my daughter's like, I love downhill. I don't like uphill. And so like when they can just go up and it's summertime and it's beautiful, it's like the same awesome magic of going like with a bunch of friends snowboarding, but in the summertime, right? And it's just gorgeous. And the mountains up here are so gorgeous so I know that they have it in their 10-year mountain plan, which keeps getting me back into the 10-year mountain plan, to eventually do lift serve. And I heard that Williams might be one of the spots that they did it first, but that would be so cool. I don't know. Yeah.
Very cool.
It attracts a ton of folks. So they have, if you ever look into it, like there's one little spot in Texas. I've never been there, but it's like the only mountain in Texas. It's like this little place called Spider Mountain, and like people just drive all over to go and do the lift serve mountain biking. I guess people hate pedaling uphill that much, but yeah, that could be cool. So have you heard any rumors on that aspect of things?
I hadn't yet, but that's exciting and would
cool.
make total sense back there.
Yeah,
it'd be the perfect location.
How's the mountain biking in general in Williams?
I am not a mountain biker myself, and I think my heart would be out of my chest the whole time. I love to ski, but mountain biking, I don't know why, it just freaks me out.
Okay. I'm sure they have quite a bit of trail system. Do they have a lot of trail system here?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of trail systems out here. There's a lot of off-roading for a lot of people with UTVs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trails and stuff out here.
I have been back because we're closer to... No, I guess is that more Parks? The little scout camp. Is that closer to Parks than Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, there's... Well, I once did look at it where I'm like, no, honey, we could drive from Mexico to Utah on Forest Service roads through Arizona.
Wow.
You totally could.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a heck of a road trip.
It'd be heck of, power line roads and everything. It's just like there's trails for days. So again, that's kind of the lifestyle, right? If people want to go, and I am blown away even in Flagstaff. I'd bet in Williams. Do you guys do the off-road stuff?
Yeah.
We do a bit, yeah.
Okay. Are you like the four-wheeler type or the side-by-side type or the two-wheel type?
Well, we got side-by-side, and then we also, I have a couple Toyotas. I like off-roading in my Toyotas too. So, kind of like it all.
So like the safest possible versions
Yeah.
of it. But I'm blown away. Like when you ride, so let me know if this has been your experience. Like I'm in the 2.0 version.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like just the desk job that I have to actually get my blood flowing on weekends or something.
You need the adrenaline.
That's why I tell people that I can't road cycle because it's too cathartic and you can decompress your day. And I'm like, no, I need to think tree trail, don't die.
Yeah.
But I'll go out for even near some different stuff in Flagstaff where you'll go out and on a Saturday, like late morning, afternoon, and like hardly see people. Like I know there's like some more popular spots like the Cinders or different things, but there's so much trail that you can get out and get lost and not be like hitting heavy traffic and things. Is that kind of the same thing here?
It kind of depends on where you hit. Yeah. If you're, like if you're hitting trails that are, on Google or, ones that are just easy for people to, look up and let's go here, and they've got a couple nice photos on it. It's like, they're going to be packed. But if you kind of find some back roads ones, you don't always see
So
anybody.
call Devin and Tyler for your real estate needs and for all the trail access points. And the same thing, and it blows my mind too of like Schultz Creek, right? You guys have been up Schultz Creek and like everyone, because it's like the popular thing, it's on the map, but like you literally take a lefty and go up on like the Fort Valley stuff and you won't hit anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, hey, you just kind of got to get off the beaten path and there's plenty of awesome stuff to check out.
Definitely, yeah.
Are there any other major like natural? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot outside of real estate license share. Other like cool natural terrain stuff that for Williams, are there any other cool spots that people check out or cool hikes or?
Bill Williams Mountain. A lot of people. That's a pretty popular hike. But then of course, 45 minutes down the road, you've got the Grand Canyon. So that's kind of, without
do you find that? I mean, a lot of that Airbnb kind of is mostly through traffic for the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, definitely the majority.
Okay.
I say we have our Airbnb in town, and people book it, and a lot of times they'll say what they're in town for, and almost always Grand Canyon is on there, Arizona,
Polar Express.
Yeah, Polar Express. It's usually one of the three. Yeah. It seems like or some are visiting family or want to ditch the Phoenix heat. We get a lot of that in the summer. But yeah.
So let's talk buyer demographic a little bit. So we talked about, kind of like near and dear to hopefully all of our hearts is like getting the Northern Arizona residents into homes and the people that want to live and work here, love them, want to help them. But the opportunity for investment and people that are interested in this town, what percentage of would you say that you're typically see here is primary versus like second home / investment?
I would say very similar to Flagstaff. And I don't remember exactly the Flagstaff numbers, but I want to say it's close to about half, 50-50.
That's what I hear too.
And it's quite interesting, especially this winter we noticed driving around where people didn't even plow their driveway once. And so it's like, oh, yeah, that's the second home too.
It's pretty kind of a dead giveaway on that one.
Yeah, when you're the only house on the street driving in there, you kind of know it's like, oh, all my neighbors don't live here. They have somewhere else to live during the winter.
Yeah.
Which is great because then they can come out and enjoy the beautiful summers in Williams, and who wouldn't want the best of both worlds?
Sure. Sure. And so from an Airbnb standpoint, and that's awesome. I love that you guys, and we've talked about it if you guys watched some of the podcasts before of like, I absolutely love, and I can appreciate everyone in real estate, but I love people that say like, no, I eat, sleep, breathe it. And you guys eat, sleep, breathe it. Yeah. I know this about you. And so it's like, no, we don't only love to sell you real estate, but we have bought real estate. We bought different types of real estate. We manage. Now, have you done long-term as well?
No,
just short term.
Just short term. Okay, it's just on our own personal short term.
Exactly.
Stuff. But yeah, mostly sales, residential, a little bit of commercial stuff. I tend to like the unique properties. I had a trading post I sold just last year, and that was a very fun one. Took me a couple of years to sell it, but I like to say I like the unique properties that not everybody likes to sign up for. So
yeah. Well, and so as far as, if you mind talking from just your personal experience, how's the occupancy in the Williams area?
Like as far as
like short term,
Short term, we've seen like this year our Airbnb has done a lot better than years before.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's just people getting out more or Williams just kind of growing in general, and people just kind of seeing it out there more. Is like, oh, okay, that's, right up against National Forest, right next to the Grand Canyon, this or that. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely been, a lucrative venture for us. And I think a lot of people too, and a lot easier for them to have a second home here. They're kind of supplementing their mortgage or, making a little bit money back while, they know their home, when they come to it's going to be clean, nothing's going to be broken, it's ready to go because someone just stayed there and your cleaner just left.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to worry about a toilet freezing or all sorts of crazy stuff.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say percentages. I want to say last year we were 65% occupied.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so it's a lot of people coming from all over, though. So you never know where people are coming from.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Is it like, do you see with the Airbnb side of things, is it just as like mostly domestic, or do you see a lot of foreign as well?
A lot of foreign.
A lot of foreign as well.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
cool.
of domestic. Yeah, it definitely has its mix there.
That's cool.
But I do enjoy when we have some foreign people that, when you're messaging them and you're like getting to translate back, you're like, oh, I think that English is not their first language, but we'll do our best here.
We're working on it.
I love it.
That is super cool. And is there, so and how long have you guys in the short-term rental?
2 years now.
2 years now?
Yeah.
Would you say at this point, are you like pros and cons? Like, are you excited about it still? Or are you like, it wasn't what we expected? Any surprises on that?
I think mostly pros, really. I think the hardest part is managing it between guests and making sure it's clean and, if there's anything broken or towels missing or, things like that.
A lot of details.
A lot of details. Yeah. Just, getting a home ready for the next guest that I think at first we're like, oh, okay, this is, a lot to try and clean it ourselves and, manage it and, handle everything. But I think once we found a good cleaner and, someone to help us that way, it's just like a world of a difference. So we're like, okay, we can kind of just do the digital stuff, accept the bookings and message people. And, if they have issues, we can, call our handyman or, whatever. And so that made a huge difference for us.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to just know what you're getting into. And for everything, when you see because we just finished, we told you stocking ours, get your ours ready, and dealing with a little bit of flood, and it wasn't even rented yet. If the insurance company listens, this was not a rental yet. And so, but we use just the stocking list, and you just think about that of how much goes in the home, and if someone used the waffle iron or the blender, or things that you want these amenities for, because when I go on vacation, it could be any number of things that I'm going to randomly want to use the blender or something.
Coffee maker,
and
hair dryer,
and you're if someone didn't clean that out or something, you don't want to have bad experience, don't want to have risk bad reviews. So it's the devil's in the details. People just have to think through that. Well, and that's the positive, again, selling Williams all day long here. It's just that the positive of I think a lot of people that want to get into this, and maybe we have those personalities as human beings right now, is it's it's all or nothing. And it's no. It's not a matter of if you can't own the beautiful Flagstaff cabin retreat that you just decide not to invest in real estate. I'm so much, pushing people to understand, you just have to see where it works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my brother, I don't know if you caught that podcast. So my brother does property management in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
He does 500 doors. And that's what he's like, man, if people just understand that management can take care of everything, and you don't have to live next door to it, right?
No.
Open up your parameters. Sure, if you live in Flagstaff and you're looking at buying an investment Airbnb or something, well, look into Williams. It's your ROI is, when you look at that factor of ROI is just a simple mathematical calculation that you could invest less and get still a decent return. So you don't have to pay as much and still have to make sure you bank that massive return in Flagstaff. I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. What are any other thoughts that you have on Williams real estate or the opportunity here in Northern Arizona? There's sweet spots here that people need to know about.
I think you just have to be patient because a lot like Flagstaff, really Northern Arizona, our inventory is low. And, when a home pops up against national forest that's built sometime in the last, 20 years, stick-built home, doesn't need a ton of work, is fairly move-in ready, no matter the market we're in, it's going to go, as long as it's priced around where the value should be. You kind of have to be ready to do it, but you have to wait for it to pop up because once it does, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to just be ready and be willing to wait it out. And I think just like you're saying, not be super picky, be kind of willing to look at something that's a little bit outside of your parameters. And you get there and you're like, whoa, this is amazing. This is actually exactly what I wanted. Because I feel like we talked to a lot of people, everyone comes in with their list. I need 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, under 400,000, this many square feet, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You think you know what you need, but it's really hard to fit that perfect picture always. And a lot of times people start to see the dream once they're in it too. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see it unfold once you're there rather than trying to picture it yourself.
Yeah. And I think so much to where the reality, right? When reality sets in, that the alternative, right? And I think that's what's hard for a lot of people right now is the alternative is you keep renting, or the alternative is that you double your mortgage payment, or maybe not double your mortgage payment. But I'm saying the strict realities are that when you say, okay, against the alternative, I can own a home. And that's where I think we see like a lot of excitement there that comes into it. And so but then, and I should apologize here is that I've talked so much about Williams that we're here on site, but you guys sell all over Northern Arizona as well, right? So you guys sell Chino Valley and Prescott and is now I think we've seen, generally speaking, like all those areas just have increased like everywhere else over the country. Are you, so with the low inventory, are you guys still feeling value confident? Are you thinking we're going to see values pretty stable in all those areas that you serve?
I do, especially coming into, kind of busier summertime season, just a lot more activity going and interest rates kind of hopefully staying kind of level, maybe tapering off a little bit. Yep. I think it'll kind of just keep going forward. And I think people are starting to be a little bit more optimistic again. Yeah. I think last year, seeing 7% and, 500, 600, 700,000 is, hard to swallow on a mortgage payment. I think people are starting to be a little bit more optimistic about it, but, a lot of folks, you still kind of have to talk it through with them a little bit, help understand, what it actually means and, to be a homeowner and, make it all happen too.
Yeah. And I think that that's important for a lot of people to understand is that rates will get better. Rates will get better. 30 days. Let's talk in 30 days.
So that's my question.
Let's start doing, So I think, about by some inflation reports in May, we anticipate we'll start to really see at least a really strong nail in the coffin that they're not going back, right? We're not going back. They are going to get lower, but the bottom line, all of these places is there is no inventory. And it was just, I had to laugh when you were describing your process of telling people like, okay, just wait. Right. It was pretty much like during the 2020, 2021, that was my advice is like with everything during the pandemic, you got to put it on order. So like tell Tyler and Devin, this is what I'm looking for. This is the price I'm willing to spend. And then you wait and be patient and it will come around and I have to get a little competitive on it, but you can get it. You just have to put it on order right now.
Yeah. I like that way of thinking.
That is a good way to put it. And I might use that later.
Yeah. And so, it just, I think a lot of patience is going to pay. And I think a lot of people that can face the reality sooner than later of like, man, I can have really and I think it's a matter of, and we're not good as human beings about doing this, like doing really true self-assessments of what do I want and what do I need. Right. And in our economy, like I was just watching some YouTube clips and videos where it's just like, all right, the middle class can no longer afford this, and this, which is this crazy inflation and things. And I think that's, there's times and seasons in our big economic picture of things. And I just think it's important for people to know like, all right, even if you can get that mortgage at that price in Flagstaff or surrounding areas, like, how much does that change your life or lifestyle to open up to have that land, or not even the financial aspects, but having space and, and different aspects where, obviously, look, guys, Devin turned out okay. She grew up here, right?
It's not that bad.
And so I just think there's a lot of things that people, we have, and, I'm active in my church community where we have folks out here in Williams and the kids commute in just fine for activities and things and it works. And, it's just a matter of, your paradigm shift. I think it's important for people to really know what do you need.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually very important for your family, for your friends. How will it actually change your lifestyle? And that's really is the ultimate, goal in what we do is help people get into homes or, land, whatever, help them put it all together. Sure. We can talk numbers and all that all day, but it's really what it means to people, and getting them from point A to point B where they need to be and where's most comfortable for them. That's kind of best part about it.
And when you think about it, I was talking with a client they were really quite depressed about the Flagstaff market, and they had some pretty tight parameters. If they listen to this, you have some tight parameters, but it's a matter of like, they were thinking, hey, this move or making this happen was going to push their retirement back like 5 to 10 years. Ooh. Right. And that's a serious thing, right? When you're saying, hey, we're moving from a lower cost of living to the Flagstaff cost of living, like that's a reality. Like real estate could be double from where you're moving to.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And that's right there. 5 to 10 years more work and to pay off that house or something or get comfortable is a reality. If you're saying, hey, I need to look around, I'm comfortable driving 30 minutes. I bet if we did the math, that it's not 5 to 10 years of driving. You know what I'm saying?
Where do you want to spend your time? Looking at the pine trees driving by?
And you could be listening to this podcast on that 30-minute commute.
Entertainment.
It's educational. Oh, awesome, you guys. Well, this has been awesome. I'm so excited to see, what the summer brings for Williams and the other areas you serve. Because again, that's awesome that you guys have backgrounds in just a lot of the surrounding areas that are kind of like Custer's last stand of affordability here in Northern Arizona, or a stab at it at least. Any other major thoughts or comments that you guys want to put down?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any more.
And maybe, sorry, not to interrupt you, but I think, could I add to where like, don't count yourself out. You guys are young people that own real estate. So a lot of younger people that think like, oh, that was so a millennial generation thing. Yeah. Like, no, the Gen Z, because are you guys Gen Z? Gen Z, or technically, are you a millennial or something?
Born in 95.
I don't know how that goes. Yeah. So however that works. But basically like, no, you can own real estate. You can make this happen. You can make Northern Arizona happen. But I think you guys have a unique perspective that people could really learn a lot from. So I hope we'll get this out. You guys get this out. We'll hope some people listen. So call Devin and Tyler, guys.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming out. This has been fun.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris.